welcome back to the Photography Club. I'm your host, Sue. Have you ever wanted to wake up in the morning just like feeling so energized and refreshed and ready to start your day, excited to get to work? Like it's 5 a.m. and you jump out of bed because you're just so excited to get to work because you know that what you're doing is actually making an impact and you are moving the needle, working towards your goals, and you're just so excited. Like, I don't know, that used to be something that I craved, which is partly why I loved listening to Jai Long's podcast. I've mentioned him a few times on this podcast, and that's partly why I found him so inspiring because he was one of those people who would always talk about just jumping out of bed at 5 a.m. and can't wait to start your day because you're so passionate about what it is that you do. And there are days that I feel like that, or that I would feel like that, but most of the time how I felt was just like struggled to know what to work on, to know where to put my energy, felt like I wasn't really making much of an impact. And I had a call with him one time. I actually, on his podcast, he did a thing where he would give away mentorships for people who left reviews for his podcast. And so I actually got one of those and I got a one-on-one mentorship with him. And that was one question I asked him is like, how do you just keep that excitement every single day and you wake up so energized to work on your business and build your business? And I wish I could remember exactly what he said, but that was a question I had chased in my mind for a long time, is just like getting over the burnout and stuff. And I feel like I have finally figured it out. Like I'm finally to that point where I am so just like passionate and excited, and I figured out what it is that keeps me feeling like that, and I figured out what it is that on those days that I don't quite feel like that, what the difference is. And it truly is, it comes down to your everyday habits and your routines. And so like how you prepare the night before. Those can be so powerful. I actually did a review on this podcast of Atomic Habits by James Clear, and I'm not even kidding. When I read that book, my life changed because it just really makes you understand how powerful habits are and creating a routine, because when you create a routine, it makes it easy. You no longer have to think about like your alarm goes off and then suddenly you're just thinking like, oh, I wish I could stay in bed for 10 more minutes. I don't want to get up and do all of the things I need to. But if you have a routine, you don't even think about it. Your alarm goes off, you go get a cup of coffee. Because you love the coffee, like maybe you make it some way that you really love to drink. You look forward to getting up and getting the coffee. And after the coffee, you read your book. And even if you don't love the coffee, okay, if you just have a routine where you know your alarm goes off, you do this, you do this, you do this. Like maybe it's a glass of water instead of a glass of coffee, which I've heard is actually better for you right when you wake up. But maybe it's like a cup of tea. But at first, yes, it's going to be kind of painful and difficult. Like some days it's going to be easy, but some days you're not going to want to do that. But when you stick with it and create this routine, build these habits, one day you're just going to do it and it'll hit you. You'll be like, wow, I didn't even think about that. Like I got done the things that I needed to get done and I did not even think about it. It was just seamless, easy, frictionless. And that has been the biggest change that I've noticed, is just like creating routines and habits and keeping that momentum going every single day. So if you want to feel more motivated and more excited to start your days, I would highly recommend taking a moment to analyze what you do in the mornings and in the evenings, what routines you have. Are you getting on social media and scrolling or hitting snooze on your alarm? Are you doing things that are going to allow you to have a more productive morning or a more productive day overall? And I just finished reading The Slight Edge, which honestly might be my favorite book of all time. I think it was a great one to read, especially after reading Atomic Habits, so kind of talking about habits. But The Slight Edge talks about these little things you do every single day, which are basically like your habits, and how much impact they actually have over a long period of time. So if you think about it, having a productive morning for one day, for today, is not going to impact your life. And on the other hand, having an unproductive day for one morning or having one unproductive morning is also not going to impact your life. But if those are repeated over time, if you have more unproductive mornings than productive mornings over the course of a year or even 5 years, that's actually going to have a huge impact on your life and on your future. And so the key here is the things that lead to success are actually so simple and easy to do. But the thing is, they're also super simple and easy not to do. And so making the decision to do them every single day consistently is what is going to lead you to success and more fulfillment and more productive days, feeling like you're actually getting things done and moving the needle. So I'm going to kind of go over, I've been thinking about my routines a lot, like morning and evening to start and end the day. And this is something that I'm working on right now. So I've kind of put together a routine for myself that I think is going to be super beneficial for me, for my business, my personal goals, and just going to improve my life overall. So I'm going to go through the routine that I've created for myself, but also just talk a little bit about creating routines. And one of the things that I've struggled with is having a messy house, like cleaning up my house. I hate when my house is messy. I get really stressed and I tend to not get things done when my house is dirty because it just overwhelms me. You can actually tell like the state of my mental health depending on how clean my house is. And that's a really big point that I started to notice, that like if I would just take, 10 minutes, even 10 seconds to clean up throughout the day instead of all at once on the weekend or something, then my mental health is going to feel so much better. I'm going to feel so much less stressed, and it's just going to be so much easier to maintain. So I've put into practice some cleaning habits along with some business habits, but I was feeling a little overwhelmed with my house, and so I was actually looking up online, like, what are some cleaning habits that I'm maybe just not thinking about that I can do that's going to make my day-to-day life easier. I called my mom and I'm like, okay, we both have to pick a couple cleaning habits that we want to start implementing in our life. And if we do these habits every single day for a week, then we get to treat ourselves with a little reward of like going out to lunch together or something like that. Because that's a little trick for you for building habits, is to have an accountability partner and reward yourself in some way. Make it really fun. That way it's not something that you dread. And so my mom and I picked different things because we have different goals that we want to do, but I picked 3 cleaning habits for myself to try and create a nightly routine with. And so the 3 were, I have to clean my kitchen before I go to bed. So that means doing the dishes and wiping off the counters. Like, I cannot go to bed if there are dirty dishes. Next is cleaning up my office space before I go to bed so that it's all set up and ready for the next day. And then the last one, which this one I found really huge, was just cleaning anything for 10 minutes. So I would just set a timer and just clean, like go through all of the rooms, pick up things that have been left out, put them away, fold that load of laundry that you know is going to pile up and you're going to have to spend a few hours on the weekend catching up on laundry. Instead, just take 10 minutes before you go to bed and clean up. And so I did that for a week successfully, and the amount of like relaxation I felt was insane. I noticed a huge impact right away after just 1 week of doing this, and especially my office space too, because it really helped me wake up the next morning feeling more excited to get to work, knowing I had a clean space and a clearer path to get started. It removes that friction of getting started in the morning. So that was one thing that was really helpful for me. And creating routines reduces decision fatigue, which is a big thing that holds people back. And every single decision that you make takes energy. So like picking out what you're going to wear for the day, that's something that takes me way longer than I'd like to admit. Or even thinking about when you should work out. If you've kind of already created a routine where you know when in the day you're going to be working out, it's going to be easier for you to do that and you're not going to be stressing about it. So when those decisions become automatic, you preserve your mental energy for things that are actually going to need it. So like creative problem solving and building bigger goals in your business. You no longer are taking that energy for these tiny little tasks that can just be put on autopilot. It's almost like automating, honestly. In business, when you can start to automate things, so creating systems that will take over things, sending out automatic emails, things like that, that is a huge impact in your business because it frees up so much of your time to focus on more important, bigger things. And so the same thing is true for creating a routine. You're creating a system that is almost going to be on autopilot. You no longer have to think about it, and it's no longer going to take your energy, and it's going to set you up for success. Did you know also, one thing I found so interesting that I've heard a lot in podcasts and books is when you look at the most successful people, like the people who are making the most money, when people try and analyze like what it is that these people did to get the success that they have today, it oftentimes is more valuable to actually analyze their everyday habits compared to like their business decisions, because these super successful people often share a lot of similar everyday habits, such as like protecting time for deep focused work, or exercising regularly, prioritizing sleep, reading and continually learning. That one has been huge for me, is creating a habit of reading every single day, and then following through consistently even when motivation is low. So you've probably heard the phrase or the quote that a good day starts the night before, and I have found this to be so true. And so I think having an evening routine is just as important as having a morning routine, which is something that I overlooked for a long time. But having an evening routine can really help you disconnect from work. If you're someone who is always thinking about your job, as most entrepreneurs are, creating some kind of evening routine will help you to relax and enjoy your evenings more, because you've done your evening routine and it's like, okay, this is closing out my work day, beginning my evening with either my family or yourself, some self-care time, and then it will set you up for a more successful day tomorrow too. So one thing I think that's also overlooked in creating routines and building these healthy habits is that it creates more confidence in yourself, which is going to keep that momentum going. It almost builds trust in yourself. It makes you believe that you are someone who is reliable and follows through on the things that you say. So every time you keep a promise to yourself, even if it's something as simple as making your bed or reading for 10 minutes or going for a walk, you're reinforcing that belief of, I am someone who follows through. This is something that I value so much, is being a person who actually does what I say I'm going to do. Like, I want to be reliable and trustworthy. Those are two qualities that I value so highly. And so if I say to somebody that I'm going to do something, like if I say your gallery is going to be delivered on this time, I make it a really high priority to get that done. Or even for like friends and family, if I say that I'm going to help somebody with something, I try and be there. Even as simple as like meeting up for coffee, if I say that I'm going to be there, I really try and prioritize it. I'm really good at being reliable when it comes to other people. If I tell someone I'm going to do something, it gets done. However, when it comes to myself, I don't know why, for some reason, it doesn't matter as much. But it's like, if I was doing this for someone else, it would get done. Why doesn't it get done for myself? And it really just comes down to doing it for your future self. You're doing it for that future successful version of yourself who is telling you today, don't hit snooze, don't scroll on social media, do it for your future. But the reason it's so difficult to not do those things for yourself is because you don't see the consequences of those actions right now. But you're going to see them in 1 to 5 years when you still haven't achieved that goal that you set for yourself. Creating a routine helps you to build that self-discipline and to get the things done that you say you're going to get done. And like I said, it will probably be difficult at times. There's going to be days that you don't feel like doing it, but one day you're going to realize that you just did it without even having to think about it. So let's go over my morning and evening routine that I put together for myself. And I'm really curious if you guys want to comment or send me a message. I would be really curious to see what your morning and evening routines are, or what little habits you've put into place to help keep up your momentum and to set yourself up for success. I'm going to be starting today and just like experimenting with it and seeing how it goes. So I would love to hear like how my routine differs from yours, or if you have any other things that you do. Okay, so here is my morning routine. Wake up and read right away. This is just what I found works for me. I feel like reading is a really good way for me to wake my brain up, because I'll be pretty tired at first, but as I start to read, especially if you're reading a good book, like if you're not into your book, pick a new book that is going to help you. For me specifically, I read either like self-help nonfiction books to learn in the morning. I always do nonfiction books in the morning and then fiction books in the evening to kind of relax and take a break. But in the morning, I'm going to want to read a nonfiction book to get my brain woken up and get it thinking about my day and my goals. Okay, so after I read, which I honestly give myself an hour to read. I'm a pretty slow reader. I only read 10 pages a day, but I do give myself an hour for that. But if I get done early, then I feel really energized, because it's like, oh, I got done sooner than I planned on. So now I'm ahead of schedule. Like I can get started on the next thing, and that makes me feel more energized too. So I give myself an hour for reading and then 10 minutes of visualizing. I found so much power in visualization, which sounds a little bit like woo-woo or whatever, but visualizing is actually so powerful. And so I will either visualize my goals, like my long-term goals, or even just the day. I will visualize my whole day. Like, okay, first I'm going to do this, and then I'll have lunch, and this is what I'm going to have for lunch, and then after that I'm going to do this and this and this. Like in the morning, I will visualize my whole day, and I'll visualize it going successful. Like I'll visualize how accomplished and productive that I'm going to be and feel at the end of the day. And that is honestly such a great way to start your day. But then also reviewing your goals and the visualization of what you have planned for your future is going to help keep you on track and moving actually towards your goals. Like making sure the things that you put in your calendar are actually moving towards your goals. So after visualization, then I jot down 3 things that I'm grateful for, which this is a new thing I'm implementing into my routine. Is just quickly thinking of 3 things you're grateful for, because this is something that I have seen repeated in a lot of the books that I've read, and this is like a big secret to happiness, is actually being grateful for what you have instead of thinking of what you don't have. So it's like taking the time to appreciate things and appreciate how far you've come. So that's why it can be really powerful to write down things you're grateful for. And then after that, work out, move my body at least a little bit. I usually ride bikes, mountain biking for like 1 to 2 hours every morning. And one thing I've found in working out in the mornings is the harder I push myself on my morning workout, the more productive or the more accomplished I feel at the end of the day. Usually I'll be super tired when I push myself through a really hard workout, but those end up being the days that I feel the best. Like even though I'm so tired, I still work through and get a lot done, and I always feel just like more happy those days. And then when I don't work out, I feel like I don't get as much done either. Like I feel more lazy throughout the day. I want to take a nap. I can't really focus. So working out in the mornings has been huge for me. And then this next one is get dressed. That sounds like really easy and basic, but okay, so the coach that I had worked with for over a year, I'm so sad I'm not working with her anymore because the program ended. I need to find a new coach now, I think. But one thing she always said was get dressed every single day, at least 2 out of the 3 things. So the 3 things are do your hair, get dressed and do your makeup. At least do 2 of those 3 things every single day, because the way you look will help, like, it actually has an impact on how you approach your day. Like, if you go out into town to run errands or whatever it is, and you're actually dressed and feeling good, you're going to be more likely to talk to people around you and make these connections that you otherwise wouldn't have made, and you just feel like ready for work for the day. But I'm not going to lie, this is something I've struggled with because I tend to work at my office in my pajamas, especially because I work at home. And then I honestly don't like my hair that much, so I don't do it very often. I think it always looks bad. But this is something I'm going to try and implement more into my morning routine. Get dressed. And then the last thing on my morning routine is to review today's priorities and focus on the most important task first. So after that, I'll kind of get started into my work day. Like, that routine will lead into my work day, and it will be to focus on the most important, biggest task first to make sure that gets accomplished, which I had already set up for myself the night before. So I'm going to get to that in the evening routine. But just a little recap on my morning routine. So wake up, read 10 pages of a nonfiction book, visualize for 10 minutes, jot down 3 things I'm grateful for, work out, get dressed, and review today's top priority. So that's the end of my morning routine. And then when it comes to evening, here is my evening routine. So I'm trying to still figure out a good time of day that I want to end my work day, because I tend to be the kind of person who will be on my computer working until like 9-10 o'clock at night, and then I'll get off, and then I'll do like brush my teeth, clean my house, and then I end up not getting to bed until like 10 or 11, which I'm also someone who likes to wake up at 5 a.m. and you just can't do that if you go to bed that late. So I need to work on getting a good timeline for my evening routine. I'm thinking of starting my evening routine. Ideal would be, I guess around 6, maybe 5 or 6. And it does vary. If I have photo shoots in the evening, then I want to start my evening routine earlier, like before my evening photo shoot. And honestly, on photo shoot days, I end my day around 3 p.m. usually, because I like to have a lot of mental clarity to prep for that photo shoot. So then I'll do my evening routine, go to the photo shoot, and I'll be able to just come home and relax and go to bed, because everything has already been taken care of. So in the evening, first thing that I want to do to start my evening routine is 10 minutes of finishing something, of finishing a business-related task. And this is kind of like the business version of what I mentioned earlier of 10 minutes of picking up things around the house. This is like the business clutter removing version, because often we have a running list of little tiny tasks that don't actually take that much time, but they are taking up the space in your brain because you haven't gotten them done. And so these can be really simple things. Some things that I have on my 10-minute tasks of things that I need to do currently would be like ordering some stuff from Amazon. Like, I want to order a yearly calendar, a calendar of the whole year, so that I can put it up and like start planning out my year. And then also like fixing my Osmo Pocket. My little camera broke, and so I need to just send it in, which it's going to be super simple. I just need to get the shipping and send it in. I don't think it would take that long. And then organizing, like I need to go through my miles where I've drove, and organizing money. I have like a expenses spreadsheet that I put my expenses into so I can see how much I'm spending each month. And then even just like organizing my camera roll, like that 10 minutes of decluttering could be going through your camera roll, deleting photos that you don't need anymore, or even like your notes app on your phone, because I take so much behind the scenes at every single photo shoot. So I've been trying to put those behind the scenes into a folder on my hard drive. So I'll take them out of my phone and onto my hard drive. So that would be like a 10 minutes of finishing something task, kind of like decluttering task. Okay, so that's kind of how I begin to start my evening, is with 10 minutes of finishing something. Okay, and then I reflect on 3 wins for the day. 3 things that I actually got accomplished, which has been really powerful too in keeping the momentum going, because it just shows like, okay, actually I did get something done today. And sometimes the wins are littler than I wish they would be. Like sometimes it's just like, okay, you did read 10 pages today, and you did eat a good meal, and you didn't take a nap even though you wanted to. Like those are all 3 wins. And so it doesn't have to be the biggest needle moving things, but just acknowledge 3 things that you did for the day that you can be proud of. Okay, so after reflecting on 3 wins, then I set my priorities for the next day. So like I mentioned in my morning routine where I review my priority for the day that I had set that night before, this is when I'm going to set that. And so to do this, I will just look at my week, look at my goals, look at the reflection I just had on what I got done for the day, see if there's anything that actually needs to be moved over for the next day, and I will set my priorities. I'm going to tell you about 3 ways. So the first one is planning one big task a day. It's like, okay, what is the one thing you need to get done where if you got this done, your day would be productive? And so that has been really good for me in the past. If I have like this really long to-do list and every single day I feel like I didn't get enough done, I kind of throw that away and I'm like, okay, what one big thing is going to move the needle today? So I'll just put one thing on the calendar for every day. Okay, the next thing that I've tried is 3 things for the day. So like, what are the 3 tasks you want to get done each day? And I did that for a long time, and I do feel that that worked pretty well too. But sometimes if you have 3 really big tasks, you end up not getting any of them done, or only getting one of them done and then not feeling very good. So I've tried that. I did like that. The one that I'm doing right now, I actually learned from my coach. She talks about the 1, 2, 3 system. And this is putting one task that is really big and important. It's like, this is the task you have to get done for the day. And then 2 medium tasks. So it's like these tasks are still pretty important, but not as important as your one task. And then 3 kind of like checklist, like admin, smaller tasks for the day. So that is how I plan out my days, with the 1, 2, 3 method. And then after I've done that, then I clean up my office space, and then dinner. So that kind of cleaning up my office space kind of signals the end of my workday, starting onto my personal evening routine, which is dinner. And then I still have that I'll clean the kitchen. I will clean for 10 minutes, just picking up things around my house. And then I try and lay out my clothes for the next day. So setting up my next day for success. So just to recap, review my evening routine: 10 minutes of finishing some kind of business organization related task, reflecting on 3 wins from the day, setting my priorities for tomorrow, cleaning up the office, eating dinner, clean the kitchen, cleaning up my house for 10 minutes, and laying out the clothes for the next day. Now, I just set these routines for myself today, actually, so we're going to see how it goes. I worry that I've put in a little bit too many tasks for my routine, because the key to keeping a good routine is keeping it simple enough that you can actually stick with it. But I'm going to give this a try and see how it goes. And I am, like I said, so curious to know what kinds of routines you have in place, what habits you're building to help you keep that momentum going. So please leave a comment. Here is to building a business of our dreams together and learning and growing together. And I'll see you in the next episode.